Hello, my dear friends. Let me ask you a question that many of you may have wondered about, even if you have never said it out loud. At my age, does masturbation still matter? And what does it do to my prostate after 60? Some of you may feel embarrassed to even think about this. Others may be quietly worried because you've heard all kinds of rumors. Some say it's harmful, some say it's helpful, and some say you should simply stop altogether. Well, I am here to tell you that this is a very important question, and I want to talk about it with honesty, respect, and a little bit of humor, too. Regular ejaculation may lower prostate risks after 60, and this is something many people are often surprised to hear, because the subject has long been surrounded by silence, myths, and unnecessary shame. For men in their later years, health concerns naturally become more pressing, and the prostate gland is one of the most talked about areas of the body. Doctors often remind older men to pay attention to changes in urination, discomfort, or swelling, and while these are important medical reminders, there is another aspect that is often overlooked, which is how natural bodily functions like ejaculation may play a role in maintaining prostate health. Research from respected medical institutions has indicated that men who continue to ejaculate regularly tend to show lower risks of developing certain prostate conditions. This includes common issues such as benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is the enlargement of the prostate, and more serious conditions like prostate cancer. The reason behind this finding is thought to be related to the way the prostate functions. The gland produces fluids that mix with sperm to form semen, and when those fluids are not released often enough, some experts believe that potentially harmful substances could accumulate over time. By ejaculating regularly, these fluids are released, and the prostate is essentially kept active and clean. This process is sometimes compared to how exercise works for muscles. Just as physical movement helps keep muscles flexible, responsive, and strong, ejaculation helps the prostate remain in healthy working order. Of course, the comparison is not exact, but it gives a simple way to understand why this activity could be protective. For men over 60, this is especially important because hormonal changes, a slower metabolism, and reduced physical activity can all influence the prostate's function. In fact, several studies have shown that men who reported frequent ejaculation, sometimes defined as at least 3 to 5 times per week, had a measurable reduction in prostate-related issues compared to those who ejaculated rarely. It is also important to look at this from a psychological perspective. When men reach their 60s and beyond, many believe they should no longer be concerned with sexual expression. They may feel embarrassed or even guilty about continuing to have sexual desires, and some may avoid discussing it with their doctors out of fear of being judged. But ignoring these aspects of health may prevent them from reaping the very benefits that could protect their prostate. Understanding that ejaculation is not just about pleasure, but also about supporting the body's natural balance, can help older men see it in a new, healthier light. This shift in perspective can reduce anxiety and encourage more open conversations about health. In addition to the direct impact on the prostate, regular ejaculation may contribute to improved circulation in the pelvic region, which is another way it could support overall health in that area. Better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients are delivered to tissues, which keeps them functioning more effectively. It also reduces the buildup of stagnant fluids that can contribute to discomfort or disease. While it is not a cure or a guarantee against illness, it is one of several factors that work together to support prostate wellness. Lifestyle choices, diet, exercise, and regular medical screenings remain critical, but ejaculation is one natural behavior that can complement these measures. There is also an emotional benefit worth considering. The act of maintaining a connection with one's body, even in later years, creates a sense of well-being and reduces feelings of isolation or decline. Men who continue to see themselves as active participants in their own health are often more confident, more relaxed, and more willing to take other positive steps, like eating better or staying physically active. When viewed this way, regular ejaculation becomes not just a physical habit, but part of an overall self-care routine that promotes dignity and self-respect. Even in medical communities, there has been growing support for the idea that natural sexual activity, including ejaculation, has protective effects for the prostate. While not every study agrees on the exact numbers or frequency required to see benefits, the trend is clear enough to be taken seriously. Men who maintain this function as part of their health routine are often better off than those who neglect it. This does not mean one should feel pressured to reach a certain number of times per week, as the goal is not perfection, but consistency and comfort. Every individual is different, and what matters most is that the body is allowed to release and renew itself in a way that supports its natural design. Masturbation supports relaxation, stress relief, and better sleep, and this is one of the most overlooked aspects of health for men and women alike, especially as they age. Many people think of it only in physical terms, but the truth is that the body and mind are deeply connected, and when you experience tension or worry, your whole system can be thrown off balance. For seniors, stress management becomes even more important because stress has a direct effect on blood pressure, heart health, immune function, and overall energy levels. Finding natural, safe, and accessible ways to relax is therefore a priority, and masturbation happens to be one of those ways. When a person engages in this activity, the brain releases a cascade of chemicals that are known to promote calmness and happiness. These include dopamine, which is linked to pleasure and reward, and oxytocin, which is sometimes called the bonding hormone. In addition, the body produces endorphins, which act as natural painkillers and mood lifters. Together, these chemicals help the body let go of stress and ease into a more relaxed state. For someone over 60, this can be especially valuable because stress often shows up more strongly in the body with age. Sleep problems become common, anxiety about health may creep in, and the changes that come with retirement or shifts in family life can also weigh heavily on the mind. Masturbation, in this sense, is not just a private moment but also a form of self-care that directly improves mental well-being. There have been studies showing that people who engage in regular sexual release often report lower levels of stress and anxiety. It provides an outlet, a way of releasing built-up tension that might otherwise linger in the body and lead to stiffness, headaches, or irritability. The connection with sleep is another important factor. Insomnia is a common complaint among older adults, and poor sleep is linked with a wide range of health problems, from memory issues to a weakened immune system. One of the reasons masturbation can help is because the release of certain hormones during and after orgasm creates a natural sleep-inducing effect. Prolactin, for example, is a hormone that rises after orgasm and is strongly associated with relaxation and the desire to rest. This explains why many people find it easier to fall asleep after sexual release. For seniors who may want to avoid heavy sleep medications or who find themselves waking up during the night, this natural method of encouraging sleep can be both effective and safe. Another point to consider is that masturbation is an activity entirely under one's own control. Unlike other forms of stress management that may require outside resources, such as going to a spa, attending classes, or traveling, this is something you can do at home, at your own pace, without depending on anyone else. That sense of autonomy itself can reduce stress because it reminds you that you have the ability to influence your well-being without relying solely on outside factors. Autonomy is especially important in later years when health challenges or reduced independence may sometimes leave people feeling helpless. There is also an emotional dimension here that goes beyond the biological effects. Touching your own body with care reinforces a connection with yourself. For some, it becomes a ritual of comfort, a way to check in with how their body feels, to release emotional strain, and to maintain a sense of vitality. It is common for seniors to feel that life has slowed down, or that their bodies no longer serve them as they once did. Maintaining an intimate connection with oneself helps to counter those feelings, fostering acceptance and appreciation rather than frustration. Stress relief through masturbation can also indirectly improve relationships. When someone feels calmer and more balanced, they are more patient, kinder, and more open to connecting with others. This does not mean that masturbation replaces intimacy with a partner, but it can enhance overall emotional stability, which in turn strengthens relationships. For those who may not have a partner, it ensures they still have a way to manage stress and take care of their emotional needs. From a health perspective, reducing stress is one of the best things anyone can do, especially after 60. Chronic stress is linked to inflammation, and inflammation is a factor in many conditions that become more common with age, such as arthritis, diabetes, and heart disease. By engaging in a natural activity that lowers stress levels, seniors are not only improving their emotional health, but also reducing the strain on their physical systems. Sleep, too, is a cornerstone of longevity, and by supporting better rest, masturbation helps the body heal and restore itself every night. The immune system, memory, and even mood regulation all depend heavily on good sleep, so this benefit cannot be overstated. Guilt and myths around masturbation are harmful, not the act itself. And this is something that needs to be said clearly, because so many people, especially as they get older, continue to carry beliefs that were planted in them when they were young. For generations, cultural, religious, and social teachings often painted self-pleasure as shameful, dirty, or even dangerous. These ideas have lingered for decades, creating feelings of guilt and anxiety that are far more harmful to health than the act itself could ever be. It is important to remember that masturbation is a natural human behavior that has been documented in every culture and every age group. Medical science has long confirmed that it is safe, normal, and often beneficial for both physical and emotional well-being. The myths, however, have caused countless people to avoid it, hide it, or feel conflicted when they engage in it. One of the most common myths is that masturbation causes physical weakness or drains energy. This old idea suggested that too much release could somehow deplete the body, leaving a person frail or sick. In truth, there is no scientific evidence to support this claim. On the contrary, masturbation can improve circulation, reduce stress, and even boost mood, all of which contribute to better health. Another myth often repeated is that masturbation could cause blindness or mental problems. This was a scare tactic used in past centuries to discourage the behavior, but it has no basis in fact. These stories were powerful because they created fear, and that fear became internalized by many people who grew up hearing them. The problem with these myths is not just that they are untrue, but that they create guilt and shame. Guilt has a strong effect on the body and mind. It can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. When someone believes they are doing something wrong or sinful by engaging in masturbation, they may carry emotional pain that overshadows the very real benefits of the activity. Shame can also prevent people from talking openly with their doctors about their sexual health. For older adults, this silence can be dangerous because it may keep them from seeking help for prostate issues, changes in sexual function, or other health concerns. The guilt itself, in this way, becomes a barrier to good health. There is also the myth that masturbation is something only young people do, and that after a certain age it is inappropriate. This belief makes many seniors feel embarrassed or isolated when they find that they still have the desire to touch themselves. The truth is that sexual feelings and the need for release do not vanish with age. While hormones shift and the body changes, the capacity for pleasure and the comfort it brings remain throughout life. Holding on to the idea that it is inappropriate after a certain age only serves to cut people off from an important source of relaxation and self-care. Psychologists have often pointed out that guilt related to natural bodily functions can create long-term harm by teaching people to reject or distrust their own bodies. This is particularly harmful for older adults who already face challenges with body image and physical changes. Instead of viewing masturbation as harmful, it is healthier to see it as a way of maintaining connection with the body, reducing stress, and supporting overall wellness. Eliminating guilt means reframing the act not as something shameful, but as something natural. It is also worth noting that myths about masturbation often feed into social stigma. People may avoid admitting to the behavior because they fear being judged, and this silence reinforces the idea that there is something wrong with it. Breaking that cycle requires speaking openly and honestly about the truth. Masturbation is safe, normal, and does not cause the harms that the myths describe. The more this message is shared, the more people can let go of unnecessary guilt. Studies have shown that people who feel comfortable with their own sexuality tend to have better mental health, stronger self-esteem, and healthier relationships. This is not about frequency or performance, but about acceptance. When guilt and myths are removed, people are free to experience the positive effects without the shadow of shame. For seniors in particular, letting go of these old ideas can open the door to a healthier and more balanced approach to self-care. Prostate health also depends on diet, activity, and medical check-ups. And this is a point that often gets overlooked when people think only about medication or one single habit as the solution. The prostate, like every other part of the body, is influenced by the overall lifestyle a person follows. Food choices, daily movement, and regular visits to a healthcare provider all work together to create an environment where the prostate can stay healthy and function well, especially after the age of 60, when the risks of prostate enlargement or other conditions naturally rise. When it comes to diet, research has shown that certain foods can have a protective effect. Diets rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins provide antioxidants and nutrients that support prostate health. Tomatoes, for example, contain lycopene, a nutrient that some studies suggest may help lower the risk of prostate cancer. Green leafy vegetables bring in vitamins and minerals that reduce inflammation, and nuts and seeds supply healthy fats that balance hormones. On the other hand, a diet high in processed foods, red meats, and excessive dairy has been linked with higher risks of prostate problems, possibly because of inflammation and hormonal imbalances. By making mindful choices, seniors can actively support their prostate health every time they eat. Activity plays another key role. Regular physical movement improves circulation throughout the body, including the pelvic region, which benefits the prostate. Exercise also helps maintain a healthy weight, and this is important because obesity is linked to higher risks of prostate issues. Simple activities such as walking, light jogging, swimming, or even stretching and yoga can make a meaningful difference. Physical activity also reduces stress and balances hormones, both of which are important factors in prostate health. For men over 60, it is not about extreme workouts, but about staying consistent with moderate movement that keeps the body strong and the blood flowing well. Even daily habits such as choosing stairs over elevators or gardening instead of sitting for long hours can contribute to better overall function of the prostate. Another factor that cannot be ignored is the role of medical checkups. After 60, men are advised to have regular screenings that include prostate-specific antigen, PSA tests, and digital rectal exams. These tests help detect potential problems early when they are most treatable. Many men hesitate to go for these exams out of embarrassment or fear, but avoiding them increases the risk of missing early signs of conditions that could be managed with proper care. By scheduling and attending routine appointments, men take a proactive step in protecting their prostate and ensuring that any changes are caught before they become serious. Regular check-ups also provide a chance to talk openly with a healthcare provider about urinary symptoms, changes in sexual health, or discomfort that might otherwise be ignored. It is also important to understand that all these elements, diet, activity, and check-ups, work best when combined. Eating healthy foods without moving the body will not be as effective, and exercising without regular medical screenings can still leave gaps in care. Prostate health depends on a holistic approach that looks at daily routines, preventive care, and awareness. Even stress management is part of this picture, because high stress levels can contribute to inflammation and hormone disruptions, both of which affect the prostate. Practices like meditation, breathing exercises, or spending time in nature can complement diet and exercise to create a strong foundation for wellness. Men who follow balanced diets, stay active, and see their doctors regularly often report fewer urinary problems, more energy, and greater confidence in their health. They feel more in control, knowing they are not simply waiting for problems to appear, but are actively working to prevent them. This mindset is powerful because it reduces fear and helps create a positive relationship with aging. Prostate health is not something that can be maintained by one action alone, but by weaving together small, consistent choices that, over time, create long, lasting benefits. By focusing on these practical and natural steps, seniors can support not only their prostate, but also their overall well-being, ensuring that they maintain strength, independence, and vitality throughout later life.